What if I told you that almost everything you think you know about Christmas is wrong? Today, we're digging into the history books to uncover the real story behind the world's biggest holiday. And trust me, what we find might just change the way you see December 25th for good. So let's just get right to it with the central question our source material asks. Is Christmas basically built on a lie? To figure that out, we have to start our investigation not with what happened, but with what didn't happen. And here is our first and honestly our biggest clue. For 300 years, that's a long time, the earliest Christians didn't celebrate Jesus' birthday at all. You can read the big church thinkers of the time, not a peep about a Christmas celebration. A 300-year silence is pretty wild when you think about what that day means to us now. Right, so this brings us to our first big mystery. What's with this 300-year silence? If the first followers of Jesus didn't start the tradition, then who did, and where did it come from? To find out, we've got to look at the source code itself. Now this is where things get really interesting. The Bible, in the Gospel of Luke, specifically mentions shepherds watching their flocks in the fields at night. But here's the thing, historians and climate records tell us that December in Judea is cold and wet. No shepherd would have their flock out in the open. They'd be sheltered. It doesn't line up. So this is the key question, right? If the Bible itself seems to argue against a winter birthday, then where on earth did December 25th come from? Well, the answer, according to our source, isn't found in ancient Judea at all. It's found in the heart of the Roman Empire. Which brings us to the biggest party of the year in ancient Rome. It turns out late December was already party season, long before Christians claimed the date. The date wasn't picked for religious reasons, it was already booked solid. And let's meet the main reason why. This is Sol Invictus, the invincible sun god. And he wasn't some minor deity, okay? He was the official sun god of the late Roman Empire. And his official birthday, the birthday of the unconquered sun, was slapped right on December 25th. And this timeline just lays it all out so clearly. You have Romans celebrating their winter festivals for centuries. Then bam, in 274 AD, the emperor makes December 25th the official birthday of the sun god. And just a little over 60 years later, what pops up? The very first record of a Christian Christmas, on that exact same day. The timing is a little too perfect to be a coincidence. But it wasn't just about the date. Oh no. The Romans also had Saturnalia, this week-long festival of just pure chaotic fun right before the 25th. We're talking massive feasts, giving gifts, decorating your house with green stuff, and just a total party vibe. Sound familiar at all? It's basically the blueprint. Okay, so let's move on, because the inspiration didn't just come from Rome. The early church also looked north, to the huge winter celebrations of the Germanic and Norse peoples, the Vikings and their neighbors. And this is where the parallels just get undeniable. Their festival was called Yule, and it had a Yule log, big feasts, gift-giving, and they decorated evergreen trees to symbolize life in the middle of a dead winter. They even had a belief in a mysterious figure they called the Yule Father. So let's just put this side by side for a second. The Yule Father was actually the god Odin. He was a bearded, fatherly figure who, legend says, flew across the winter sky, visiting homes and leaving gifts for good children. The resemblance to Santa Claus is, well, you can see it right there. It's pretty striking. So you have to wonder, all this overlap, the date from the Romans, the traditions from the Norse, was it all just one giant, crazy coincidence? Or was it a deliberate strategy? Well, the history books give us what our source calls the smoking gun. In the year 601 AD, Pope Gregory the Great literally wrote a letter to his missionaries telling them exactly what to do. This isn't some historian's guess, this is a direct quote from the man himself, laying out the official game plan. So let's be really clear about what this means. This wasn't some organic, slow blending of cultures over time. According to this evidence, it was a top-down, strategic campaign. It was official church policy designed by leaders who knew exactly what they were doing. But just taking over the holidays, that was only step one. For this whole thing to work, the church had to make sure nobody remembered where these traditions actually came from. And this led to what our source calls the Great Historical Rewrite. And they apparently had a 4-step playbook. First, you rebrand the traditions as your own. Second, you condemn the original versions, call them evil, devil worship. Third, you destroy the evidence, burn the libraries, tear down the old temples. And finally, you rewrite the history books so it looks like your version was the only one that ever existed. So, if you think of modern Christmas like a recipe, this is what our source says goes into it. You've got the date, courtesy of Roman sun worship, the party and gift-giving from Saturnalia, the iconic symbols, like the tree and the log, from Norse Yule, and then you put a final layer of Christian storytelling on top to rebrand the whole thing.
And this is the powerful conclusion our source lands on. The end result of this long strategy is that today, billions of people all over the world are taking part in ancient pagan solstice rituals, all while believing that what they're doing is uniquely Christian.
And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to chew on. It makes you ask a pretty fundamental question about history and belief. If you can successfully erase where a tradition comes from and give it a brand new story, does that new story become the only truth that really matters?